Now, the first difference here between a rain forecast and the climate outlook is that we're looking at totally different models. They're using totally different ways to look at what the climate's doing. And so you can't say that if the forecasts aren't right, then how can the outlooks be correct? Because we're talking totally different systems and setups. It's also important to clarify that this is an outlook, it's not a forecast. No one can forecast rainfall that far out. So it is providing an outlook on the expected climate conditions that will produce a potential of rainfall. Now, to start with, we can go to the overview page. So this is really quite a broad overview of what's going on through the atmosphere. Usually when you go into the summary section, it's talking state-based, even multiple states. So at the moment, it's talking about potential of increased rainfall along the east coast, potentially drier conditions over the inland. So it's really quite broad, which is not necessarily localized enough for individual farmers' needs. But what it also does on the Outlook page has climate influences. Now, what this will do is break down what are the main climate factors that are influencing the outlook for rainfall and temperature across the nation, across the state, and down into the districts. And we also have the Outlook video, which is the Bureau's overview, and that's a really good summary of the expected conditions. But let's go a little bit closer into these charts, and we start off with a national overview. So the brown is lack of rainfall, and the blue is the potential of median or above median rainfall. Look across the top there, we can do 1 week, we can look at 2-week outlook, a 1-month outlook, and of course the 3-month or seasonal outlook. So there are different options there. You can look closer to home in a shorter time period, or you can move further out. Now, the other aspect with this is that you can zoom in to New South Wales, or you can zoom in to the local region. And then again, you can still you can look at what the expectations are for the coming week, what the expectations are for the next 2 weeks, the next month, and then the next 3-month outlook. So it gives you a broad picture of what's going on through the atmosphere with regard to maximum temperature, minimum temperature, or what we're looking at here, believe it or not, is rainfall. So July has certainly started off dry. Hopefully it's going to end off a little bit on the wetter side, and particularly for New South Wales, it's certainly looking that case, particularly for the coastal areas. Now, once you zoom in, you can also start playing with some of the boxes at the left-hand side. So you can look at the chance of above median rainfall or below median rainfall. We've got different outlook scenarios as well. There's the chance of at least. So you can put in what's the chance of 50 millimetres, and it'll give you a percentage chance of above or below those falls. And that actually extends from 1 millimetre to 700 millimetres. So there's really quite a broad area there that you can look at. If you would prefer to find out how much rainfall you're likely to record, then that tool is really quite valuable. Now, it's worth noting that the median rain period in these outlooks sits from 1990 to 2012. So it's not all records, but it is still very much a very accurate tool for rainfall in the coming months. Now, there's also past accuracy down in the bottom left-hand corner. Now, I think this is one of the key things for myself using Bureau of Meteorology information, is that it is basically all checked. So all the forecasts, all the outlooks, everything gets looked at to see whether it came around, whether or not it was accurate. When you go to past accuracy, it will tell you. And you'll be able to see that at certain times of the year, the outlook models are less accurate for certain areas. And this is typically because it's when the key drivers are in a change mode. So for New South Wales, really is autumn. That is the least reliable period for rainfall, which is probably what we've seen with the outlooks over the recent month. Now, if you want all that information a little bit closer to home, I hope you can read that little box, but basically you can drag the mouse to where you think you're located and pick up almost localized farm-based information. Now, in this instance, it's looking at the chance of at least 50 millimeters at Mangoola. Now, the median there is 40 millimeters, so 50 millimeters would be above median. The chance of above median is unlikely, but on top of that, it also tells you the percentage chance of up to 100 millimeters of rainfall. So it's some really quite localized information, and you can also get that with temperature maximums and minimums. So there's even this option to bring in those outlooks into a very localized region.